You know, there's an old saying that says that sometimes the hunter get captured by the game. And what that means, that's kind of like a reverse psychology or reverse happening, or sometimes things get reversed and turned around. Well, we are experiencing that scenario today. And I'm the game, and I have a young lady who's going to be the hunter because I usually am the host for this show, but I have turned it over to a phenomenal young lady who has experience, who's been involved in the community. I'm going to let her introduce herself in a minute. But this is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Habersham, and what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the new edition of the Macon, Middle Georgia Black Pages publication. And I wanted the opportunity to really tell the community about it, not only as it relates to the economic aspect of it, but also the historical aspect of it. Because in conjunction with the bicentennial, the theme of the book is 200 years of African American businesses in Central Georgia. So I said, if I am to be interviewed, whom should I get to interview me? And this pretty picture and this pretty bio and this pretty resume just popped up in my head, and it said Amber Jones King. And I said, that's a good one. So I'm so excited about being interviewed by Miss, and she has experience. She's been on TV, she got clients, she's involved in the community. She does public speaking. So there's no one, in my opinion, that's more qualified to do this interview, and no one who can do it more effectively as it relates to the information that we're trying to impart into the community than Miss Amber Jones King. Now, I know I'm being lengthy, but this is my show, although she's gonna run it in a minute. Uh, Last time I was interviewed by Miss Amber, she was just Amber T. Jones. We'll find out what the T means later. But now she's Amber Jones King, which means she's married and, living the married life, etc. Hey, Amber.
Hey, Mr. Habersham, thank you so much for having me. I'm always honored when you think about me to come onto your show that is legendary with the legend himself, to come on here to talk about Macon Black Pages. I am newly married, and so that T stands for Tiffany. So my very long new name is Amber Tiffany Jones King.
Wow.
So yeah, going into 2024 with a new name and new things going on with Making Black Pages, it's just as exciting. It's like new chapters. So I'm excited to talk to you about what's going on with Making Black Pages and the publications and some of the events that you have going on. So first, I'll just start with thanking you for your leadership, thanking you for paving the way for small businesses like mine and large businesses like other businesses and making them big in the surrounding area. So we appreciate you and we celebrate you. And we're going to talk today about what's up with this new publication. Just tell me, every year we look forward to getting this publication, getting more information from you. We appreciate your email threads. I mean, everything is so great, but tell us this year, what are we rolling out? What can we expect differently?
Well, I am the co-chair of the Bicentennial Committee, and we spent a year, touting, making from a historical perspective the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we feel like 200 years, it behooves us to talk about what has happened, what is happening, and what should happen. So when I was thinking about developing a theme for the 23-24 edition, I said, well, we ought to tie that in to the bicentennial and take it from a 200-year African American business perspective. So the front section of the publication deals with, goes all the way back before 1823 and talk about the plight, the progress, and the positions of African American businesses for 200 years. So there's a pretty detailed historical perspective of African American businesses in Central Georgia, and I'm real proud. There's so some Amber. Sometimes we miss the power of history. Sometimes we miss how we can use history to kind of give us direction as it relates to where we should go in the present and in the future. So that editorial section of the publication, kind of delves into, what has happened with African American businesses, etc. Additionally, I don't want to lose sight of the real purpose of the publication, which is to promote, identify, and support African American businesses. So we also, coupled with the historical perspective, then we also delve into the economic perspective of the publication in an effort to uplift African American businesses throughout Central Georgia. So the publication is ready. We're not showing it yet because we're going to have a special event called a publication celebration at the Tubman African American Museum. I want to give a shout out to the Tubman because that ties in with history also on January the 23rd at 7 o'clock. And what I'm doing right now is inviting the entire community. Now, I might have to give you some Ritz crackers or something if we don't have enough food. Just kidding. But I want everybody to come out and help us experience the celebration of this historical publication.
So I want to talk first about the publication. Will you talk about having like a recollection of history in there to talk about the pain and the plight and the progress promise of Macon Bib for 200 years? Tell me what was the highlight of that historical kind of like research and what you put into the publication. Just share with the people a little snippet of what they can expect and what was the most meaningful part and highlight for you.
Well, I hate to tell you, it's almost a low light rather than a highlight. And though we're doing fairly well, but it seems, just looking at it from a historical perspective, we used to do a lot better in this community economically. And, from a Black business perspective, and that was driven by the community's understanding the power of intra, if you please, economic participation as it relates to our community. And so, at one point, look, we used to have Black Wall Street in Macon years ago, on Cotton Avenue, on Broadway, which is now MLK, on Mulberry Street, on Poplar Street. I mean, just literally dozens of businesses throughout, downtown and throughout that were doing well, that were flourishing. And so, so when you bring that out from a historical perspective, that tends to show us that we used to do better and we can do better. Now, if in fact, and I try to prick the conscientiousness of African American consumers because, in Central Georgia, African Americans spend $3.5 billion a year. And so my premise is that if in fact we could drive more of that money, more of those dollars into African American businesses, then the whole community would benefit. So we try to just prick the conscientiousness of consumers and businesses to say, hey, we've got a vehicle to uplift our community if in fact we would utilize it. Now that's the low light, but the highlight is, go
Hold on,
ahead.
I got a question. I got a follow-up question. When do you think the consciousness changed? What do you think was like the cause and the time of when the consciousness switched?
Integration.
Mm.
Integration. At one point, we were almost forced, excuse me, to do business with each other. Then I think we became so excited to be free until we lost the same kind of awareness and conscientiousness and concern about our own community. Um, because we could stay in a hotel or shop anywhere we wanted to shop, and in some instances move where we wanted to move, and that's okay. But we still needed to be conscientious about the role that these businesses played in our communities. And so what we are doing slowly is, I think we have more uh, businesses and consumers realizing that, hey, we need to take full advantage of the spending power that we have, not in a negative sense, but I mean, we could really uplift our community economically if, in fact, we are constantly are aware of what that can mean to our community.
So while we're
Immigration,
moving,
immigration. I'm sorry, but that's
well,
what
I
it was.
appreciate that answer. That's what I was thinking myself, but I was picking your smart, wiser brain. Let's switch a little bit gears to the publication celebration. So you're going to have some special guests there. Tell us about your special guests and what you're hoping to see from them.
Well, I felt like we needed to tie individuals in who could really address the historical perspective of the community, and and not only business but also the community. So we're going to have DA Anita Howard. They're gonna bring remarks. They're not gonna give our speeches each, but I thought it would be important to get different perspectives of where we were, where we are, and where we need to go from three experienced individuals who have a connection to community and African American businesses. So D.A. Howard certainly uh, can and has and will do that, and she will bring remarks. Additionally, we're going to have Josh Rogers, who is the CEO of a Newtown Macon, and Newtown Macon has exerted deliberate efforts to bring more African Americans into the success of downtown Macon. As a matter of fact, they have partnered with me on a program called the Downtown Diversity Initiative, which which we've done for 3 years, and we brought several businesses downtown, and several of them have been awarded grants. So I think that it's important to have Newtown on it, because in order for the African American segment of the community to grow, not only do we need the support and the participation from Black businesses and Black consumers, but we need also support from the general community. And Newtown Macon and Josh Rogers, they realize that. And so they have deliberately initiated efforts to try to bring more African American businesses downtown and more African American consumers downtown. Downtown is growing by leaps and bounds, and we wanted to grow for everybody. And Josh Rogers and Newtown Macon are the vehicles that can support us in that area.
Mr. Habersham, can you tell me a little bit more about the downtown diversity initiative with Newtown Macon?
Yeah, well, there Habersham goes again. I began to notice the growth of downtown. I began to notice how downtown has been truly transformed. And I began to realize how there were all kind of African, I mean, you had every kind of tailors and drugstores and banks and bars and clubs and restaurants, you name it, and even a hotel. A lot of people don't know it, but there used to be a 5-story Black hotel right across the street from where I am, on what was known as Cotton Avenue, real estate companies, you name it. So I said, well, if downtown is growing, and it has come back, if you don't believe it, try to buy a building down here.
Mm-hmm.
It has come back. And so I said, we want that to be true for the entire community. So we, in conjunction with Newtown Macon, we initiated a program called the Downtown Diversity Initiative, which was a project to bring uh, existing and aspiring entrepreneurs into a course, into a scenario downtown where we would meet, talk about necessary components of being successful in business, identifying location, and providing the assistance that people would need in order to establish businesses downtown. So we've done it for 3 years and we've had success in bringing some of the big, and it has not all been successful. You're not going to ever have 100% because that's the nature of the beast when you start talking about business.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people miss out and they don't understand it. But the key word in being, and you know this, the key word in being in business is risk, RISK. But in spite of that, we have been successful in bringing business, and one can go to Newtown Macon's website and get more information about that.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. That's super interesting. And I hope the listeners' ears perked up and they're running over to that website to get more information. And so, for your other special guest, we've got Anita Howard, District Attorney, Josh Rogers, Newtown Macon. Who is your third and final guest?
Mr. Virgil Adams, attorney at law. And I like using Virgil because he is a model example of, and he didn't grow up in the brick part of Tyndall Heights, but he was in the Tyndall Heights area, so he grew up in Tyndall Heights, went on to Albany State, went on to law school, became a prosecutor, and went from there into establishing businesses, been involved in the community, found one of the charter members of 100 Black Men. So he has an interesting perspective on not only from a economic perspective, but also from a sociological perspective. And I thought it would be important for him because it shows how a young man, Black, you know, can grow up in a special area, and still be determined and have the wherewithal to become one of the most successful attorneys in the Southeast. And so, from a historical perspective, then that track record of moving from just a guy who grew up near Tiller Heights to being a highly successful attorney and being intimately involved in the community, I think that he would have a message to tell.
And I've got an additional shout out for him because in the Mercer community, he is a leader and a mentor to all of the young Black students that come through there. I do believe he was either a founding member or in the first couple of years of the Association of Black Law Students at Mercer. And they built the foundation for us to be able to depend on each other, ways to study, ways to be in the top of the class, opportunities to succeed after law school. So just knowing him in the community has been one great thing for me, but knowing him in that Mercer alum space has been a whole nother space to respect him and to celebrate him. So I'm interested and excited to hear what he has to say as it relates to these 200 years of Black history or African American history in Macon. It's going to be awesome.
It is, and then and not only will we have speakers, but we'll have the opportunity to network. It's all about working together and being together. So there will be networking opportunities. Of course, if there's anybody out there, we're going to have a limited number of vendor spaces available. So if someone is interested in vending to come, but I want everybody, there is unity in numbers, and there's success in unity, So I want everybody, to kind of come and help us celebrate the publication. And another thing I want to mention, you know, although I got this gray hair, Miss Jones King, I do realize the role that technology is playing, wow, in our community. So what we're doing is we're pushing the Black Pages app and the Black Pages website to make it convenient. And so that's what we're encouraging people to do. although we are printing some books, but what we're going to do is have QR codes all over the place. And then whether you come or not, we're going to ask everybody, to download our app. Let's be intentional. That's Sharice's favorite word. Let's be intentional about what we are doing, what has happened over 200 years, and the kind of vehicles and the procedures and the programs that we can utilize to have Macon Black Wall Street. All over. Black Wall Street can be all over Macon with African American businesses flourishing. And 100 years from now, they'll be busted out of the scene, and I'll be around to praise them.
So let's give everybody that's out there listening or watching us all the basics for the publication celebration. Where is it going to be? What time? If they want tickets, how do they get them? And what's the date going to be?
Okay, thanks for asking. It's going to be January the 23rd at 7 p.m. at Tubman African American Museum, and we all know where that is. Free. There's no charge, and that's why I was kidding about the food. I just hope everybody shows up, because we will have, some food, and AJ the DJ will be there, playing music in between. But we just want to try to create excitement about the publication moving more to emphasize technology and the website and the app. And then we've got some sponsors, and then that's why I said it's a rising tide raises the whole ship. So in order for this community to be raised, in order for the African American community to be raised, then we need everybody's participation, including the majority community. So we've got certain sponsors. Virgil is a sponsor. Adam's attorney is a sponsor. Attorney District Attorney Howard is a sponsor. Newtown is a sponsor. Atrium is a sponsor. The Office of Small Business Assistance is a sponsor. And we're doing this in conjunction with the Coalition of Black Businesses, which is a kind of like a business coalition that we form. CGCBB.org is the website for that coalition, in case anybody is interested in learning more. And, they will have a booth there, and they will be there to kind of explain what that organization is doing in an effort to uplift African American businesses throughout the community. Don't want to miss out on giving the website for the Black Pages, www.maconblackpages.com. So it's going to be exciting. I want everybody to come, not only as it relates to celebrate the publication, but to celebrate 200 years of African American businesses, and to get a feel of what we need to do in order to move the community forward. And before I quit, I just want to thank you. You touted Virgil, but community growth is cyclical. So we have to have cycles of individuals, of personalities, of businesses. And I think that you are part of that cycle. You're part of your family cycle, involvement in the community. So I want to congratulate you. I know you're doing a lot of big time consulting. I know you got your law degree. So I just want to give you a shout out, because we need the community to see examples of people like you and Virgil and D.A. Howard and other individuals who are doing well in the community. Too often it's emphasized some of the negativity, but we got some good things going on in the community, and we got some good people, who are from the community and who are helping the community, like Amber Tiffany Jones King.
Thank you, Mr. Habersham. I don't deserve that, but I'm going to take it all in. I'm just doing the work. And I think if all of us just do the work and show up for each other and trust each other and ask each other questions and pour into our community and honor our ancestors and our parents and all the people that have paved the way, we'd be doing a disservice not to show up for our community when people like you and my dad and Virgil Adams have dedicated their life to making sure our community prospers. So I appreciate your kind words, but I think I would almost be remiss if I didn't try my best to give my best.
You are absolutely correct. Want to keep moving and keep it going, and my prayer is to motivate the entire community to be concerned about the community and understand that a rising tide raises the whole ship, and to understand that everybody has a responsibility to our community. So if you can, use the Black Pages, download the app, shop with an African-American business whenever feasible and whenever possible, and we will see the community grow by leaps and bounds. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Christopher, since we use the middle names, Habersham, and I'm so proud and so thankful to have had Miss Amber Tiffany Jones-King to interview me so we could really impart information about the Black Pages celebration of the publication. 200 years of African-American businesses is the theme. The publication celebration will be at the Tubman Museum, January 23rd, 7 p.m. Don't meet me there, beat me there. Thank you, Amber. Anything else you want to say?
No, sir. Thank you for having me. I can't wait to see you at the celebration.
Okay. This is the call to action. I'm your host, Alex C. Habersham. Have a great day.
www.maconblackpages.com.
The Macon, Middle Georgia Black Pages
is excited to announce its 12th publication celebration, January 23rd at the Tubman. The highlight of the evening will be the premiere of the 2023-24 edition
of the Macon Black Pages.
Download the app. The theme is 200 years of
African-American businesses
in Middle Georgia. Prominent figures, District Attorney Anita Howard, CEO Josh Rogers of Newtown Macon, and Attorney Virgil Adams will deliver remarks. This
Expo Pop-Up Mall
networking event promises to be dynamic and free. Display booths and sponsorship opportunities are available now. Register today
at 478-464-0074
for the 12th publication celebration, January 23rd at
the Tubman Museum
from 7 to 10 p.m. Admission is totally free. For more info, contact publisher at
MaconBlackPages.com.